It's time now for a look at the latest in local news. In the news, the Wayne County Commissioners met Monday evening for their regular monthly meeting. Commissioners approved an ordinance to amend their Enabling Act. The vote was unanimous. The question is, what is the Enabling Act? I asked Administrator Paul Drawdy for an explanation.
If you think about it, what you may be, and Mr. Beaver can back me up on where I go astray. If you think about what you hear all the time is like a city charter, it's kind of like the same thing. The county doesn't have a city charter. We have an enabling act. And it was put forth by the legislature years ago or whatever to allow the counties to conduct business almost like a city charter would for the city itself. So on some of these items that when they're just kind of, I guess, administrative in nature, in other words, it's not anything that you would consider that is really changing the function of the county. If it's administrative in nature, the legislature allows us to just, by making an ordinance, the county commission can change part of the Enabling Act. So what we're doing is we're changing our budget and our audits because the budgeting process and audit process that was in our Enabling Act was from 60 years ago.
1963.
Yeah. So the way we've been performing hasn't been wrong because as state law has changed, the county clerk has adopted with state law and done what the state says to do. So just to kind of make it clean, what we thought we'd like to do is just change the wording of the Enabling Act to reflect what we've currently been doing.
And once again, those comments of County Administrator Paul Drawdy. Other news, they approved a beer and wine license for Shell Truck located at 3499 Savannah Highway. They approved the bid for the 2024 LMIG contract. The bid awarded to Georgia Asphalt Company for $1,500,000. Mitch Sutton on hand with the airport update says the state inspection went well, but they do have an issue with high trees. The administrator says they are setting up a meeting with Georgia DOT Aviation. County has the easements for the property, but the trees are on private property, so it's an issue that has to be worked out. Airport recently installed a fence around the airport property, and they state all that expense paid by the federal government. Another hot topic was the Senior Citizens Center, as the Commissioner James Booth Thomas and the Board of Commissioners have been working on a building for the seniors, but they voted last night to unanimously turn down a CDBG grant to build one because the bid came in where the county would have to pay over $1 million. Administrator recommended they turn down the grant. The question is, what do they do now? Here was Commissioner Jamie Hickox concerned with the issue.
Senior citizens have been in that kitchen for 4 years. There is no excuse for them not to have a building. There's no excuse. We have kicked a whole group of our citizens right on down the road. So our solution now is going to be a senior citizen barn. I'm not okay with the barn. I am flabbergasted. One, that I'm seeing it here, to see it there. We cannot do this to the people of Wayne County. There is the MLK building that those folks came out of. Is there some reason we can't reach out to the city of Jesup and say, what do we need to do to get our senior citizens in a facility that will accommodate them? Can we not work with each other? Because the only people who are getting hurt on this is those people. This is wrong. They have to pack up their stuff. Either the community at Hall Richardson doesn't get their community center, which out of all the community centers, Hall Richardson's the one community that uses theirs all the time. So they're gracious enough to share the space. But these people who are trying to do their senior citizens, they got to pack up all their stuff and put it in a storeroom and drag it out every week. This is devastating. That is devastating. I wish I'd have known because I'm a researcher by nature. I would have been blowing up every phone. There's got to be a solution for this. But a barn, I'm not okay with a barn.
And once again, those comments of Commissioner Jamie Hickox. The commissioners continued discussions. A metal building was discussed. Again, the metal building they just built for the advanced voting they state would be a good building. Commissioner Thomas says a metal building could work and be much less expensive. Once again, no final decision was made on what type of building would go to the Senior Citizen Center, but they did vote to turn down the CDBG grant as they state that bid came in way too high. Paul Andrade says he talked with the local contractor who says, yes, prices are a little higher at this time, but not that much higher when discussing the bid the county received for the senior center building. They did approve the contract for the aerial pictures for the tax assessor's office. They approved the bid for the third truck for the rec department. Mike Birch forwarded the bid accepted. Commissioners appointed Candace Coley to the Pineland Community Service Board. And finally, they announced that there's going to be a countywide amnesty day on April 20th from 7 to 3 p.m. They state no tires will be accepted, but other items will be accepted. Need more information on what type of items can be dropped off on Amnesty Day? They asked you to call Scriven City Hall at 912-579-2211. Again, the date for the Amnesty Day, April 20th from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. We'll be back with more news after this word from our sponsor, the commercial messages, so please stay tuned. In other news, Jesup Police Chief Chris Hamilton announces that on Easter Sunday, officers were dispatched to the intersection of Walker and Whaley Street in reference to a fight and someone shooting. Officers arrived on scene and were told by several people that a person fired gunshots in the air, but they were run off from the area. Later that same day, officers received a call from dispatch informing them of a gunshot victim who had arrived at Wayne Memorial Hospital in a personal vehicle. The victim, who had sustained a gunshot wound to the leg, claimed to have been shot while walking up to attend the block party on Walker Street. However, he was unable to identify the person who shot him and has not offered any additional information. In response, officers revisited the area where the victim stated the incident occurred. After multiple interviews with individuals and a thorough search of the area, no evidence pertaining to the shooting was found. Jesup PD is investigating the incident and urges anyone with information to come forward. If you have information regarding the incident, they ask you to please contact their investigators, R. Burford or C. Cope, at 912-427-1300. Chief Hamilton says the safety and security of our community members are of utmost importance. He said that Jesup PD encouraged everyone to remain vigilant and report any suspicious activity to the police. Again, if you know anything about this incident, they ask you to call the police at 912-427-1300. Appleton County Sheriff Mark Melton reports that on Sunday, March 31st at approximately 1:17 a.m., Appleton County 911 received a call from OnStar that a contact vehicle had been involved in a crash, giving in location of a crash to dispatch. 1 minute later, assistant also notified dispatch of a single vehicle crash on 10 Mile Highway. Appleton County deputies, along with Baxley police officers, responded to find several occupants outside the vehicle, with others still inside. All rescue services were summoned along with Georgia State Patrol. A total of 6 occupants were in the vehicle at the time of the crash. At least 4 were flown out by life flight to other areas for treatment. Georgia State Patrol Trooper Benjamin arrived on scene and discovered the vehicle was traveling south. It was negotiating a curve when the driver lost control, crossing the center line and entering the east shoulder. The vehicle continued traveling on the east shoulder before striking a tree, overturning and coming to an uncontrolled final rest in a ditch on the east shoulder. Crash resulted in a fatality. The deceased was identified as D'Angelo Marquise Adams. Trooper 1 Specialized Collision Reconstruction Team has been requested for assistance in the investigation. Sheriff Melton would like to thank all first responders who performed their duties with professionalism and expertise. They said if you have any information in this matter, that you're asked to notify the Appleton County Sheriff's Office or the Georgia State Patrol. A press conference is scheduled for 2 p.m. today at the Grand Jury Room of the Camden County Courthouse, as DA Keith Higgins will address the John Jankowski and Weldon Tank Lawson cases. Once again, the call and press conference set for 2 p.m. in Camden County. Before that, at 10 a.m., the district attorney has a meeting set up with his Brunswick office with the warden Jan Wagamuth, 2 of the people who organized to protest in front of the DA's office, as they're upset the DA has not taken case to the Wayne County Grand Jury to seek an indictment. Once again, the press conference today at 2 p.m. WIFO will be on hand. I have a full report here tomorrow on the local news. We'll be back with some final news notes after this word from our sponsor, the commercial messages, so please stay tuned. Final notes of news: the City Commissioners of Jesup meet this evening at 7 p.m. On the agenda, under old business, discussion of a dog pound inspection and repairs with Animal Control Officer James Manning and Chief Hamilton. Under new business, discussion of group health insurance, Sean O'Quinn and Mike Malloy awarding a bid for Pine Street and 6th Street extending pipe. Water Department Supervisor Anthony Crawford. Executive session discuss personnel, discussion of the city manager position, items with the city manager, items with the commissioners, items with the mayor. Again, in that executive session for personnel, City of Jesup expected to announce that they've hired Nick Ellis as their full-time city manager. Ellis has been serving as interim city manager since the city released former city manager Rose Marcus from that position. Ellis applied for the full-time job, and over 2 weeks ago, the city announced that all the other candidates withdrew their names for consideration, leaving Ellis as the only candidate. Once again, it should become official tonight at the city meeting. Nick Ellis, your full-time city manager of Jesup. Chamber of Commerce hosting a post-legislative luncheon at Coastal Pines Technical College, the date Tuesday, April 23rd from 11 to 1. Everyone's invited to come get a recap of the session from our local representatives, State Senator Blake Tillery, State Representatives Buddy DeLoach, and Stephen Meeks. Tickets $30 for members, $40 for non-members. Everyone's invited. For ticket and information, call the Chamber at 912-427-2028. Wayne County Board of Tourism Spring Fair taking place all this week at the J.C. Fairgrounds, Monday through Thursday, 6 to 10, Friday and Saturday, 6 to 11. Cost $15. That includes all the rides. If you need more information, you can call the Tourism Board office at 912-427-3233. Community-wide blood drive set for Monday, April 15th from 1 to 6 p.m. at Calvary Baptist Church Gymnasium, 415 East Cherry Street in Jesup, sponsored by the Jesup Shriners Ladies Auxiliary. Again, to schedule an appointment, they ask you to visit the redcrossblood.org website, enter Jesup. Again, that's the way to schedule an appointment. Walk-ins will be welcome. Again, the blood drive Monday, 1 to 6, Monday, April 15th at the Calvary Baptist Church Gymnasium. That's going to do it for latest in local news. Sports comes your way in a few minutes. Bob Morgan, have a great day.